I am on, and we are actually not going to do Spanish interpretation this week or this evening,
Oh,
so
okay.
we are all set. Thanks.
One second.
Dr. Jenkins, can we check to confirm that we don't have a need for Spanish language interpretation? We have our interpreter on,
Lindsay, how
Angie.
are we yeah, Lindsay and I are
No, I'm talking to her too. Can
messaging.
we just confirm first, and then we may have
Sure.
to do just a reset. Let's confirm. Angie, do you mind asking if there are folks who need Spanish language interpretation and having them? I think for now we still have the chat open. Just indicate by putting a yes in the chat,
Sure
so we
thing.
can adjust if we need to. We might need to make a quick adjustment. If people can just bear with us. Sorry.
Of course, no problem. Buenas tardes. Si hay alguien en la sala que requiere interpretación al español, por favor, escriban sí en el chat.
All right. And Dr. Junkins, one last thing, if you could change my name, that would be great.
I will do that, no problem.
Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening and welcome to the December 5th Operator Renewal Session number 2 for the 24-25 Annual Review Recommendations. Tonight's work sessions is a dedicated time for the board to hear directly from the charter and operator-led schools who are up for renewal this year, and for the board to ask questions to the schools directly. We would like to welcome the school communities that will be presenting tonight and the members of the public who are joining to listen, as well as members of the Board of Commissioners. I will now read a roll call of the board to identify who is on the call. Please identify yourself first before speaking for the record. Chair Sally.
Present.
Commissioner Ames Messenger. Okay, Commissioner Coy.
Commissioner Coy, present.
Commissioner Esposito. Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay, present.
Commissioner Muhammad. Commissioner Retton Lallinger.
Commissioner
All
Redding, I'm
right,
present.
I got you. Commissioner Rooks. Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Commissioner Slater Harrington, present.
Good evening, and I'm also noting Commissioner Ames Messenger, and I am also present. Each school operator will have 4 minutes to present, and following each school's presentation, the commissioners will have time to ask questions. After the board is finished with questions, we will transition to the next school. We ask that you keep your devices muted and videos off until it's your school's time to testify. As today's work session is dedicated to hearing from school operators and their communities, there will be no public comment. However, more information will be provided during this process and will be shared by Ms. Alvarez during her opening presentation. Thank you. And now I will turn it over to Ms. Alvarez for the presentation.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and board commissioners, and Chair Parker and Chair Sally. We're going to have a very short presentation on the screen right now. So welcome to work session number 2. The work session aligns to board priorities 4 and 6, that city schools will effectively engage all stakeholders, including parents, families, caregivers, and their education and community partners. And so the renewal process has created multiple opportunities for that engagement that's continuing tonight and beyond today. And that city schools will increase the number of educational programs of all types, including charters, that guarantee a high quality educational experience. Sorry, went the wrong way. Tonight we are here for the second work session, December 5th. We will have an updated recommendation shared formally at the December 10th board meeting, and then we have hearings for any schools recommended for non-renewal or closure on December 12th, January 9th, and then we expect the board to vote on January 14th. With that, I'm going to invite the Tunbridge School, which is an elementary middle school operated by AFIA Baltimore, Inc. They are effective in student achievement, school climate, financial management, and governance. They are recommended for an 8-year renewal with conditions to participate in a mid-contract five essentials or a similar tool. At this time, I'm going to invite them to turn on their cameras and begin introducing themselves to the board and begin their comment.
Hi, Angela, we're here. We do have, we use an owl, so it will adjust to the speaker and it might be a little bit of a lag, but that's what's happening. But we are all here. Tiffany, do you have our slides?
I sure do.
Miss
Whoever's
Young, sorry,
hosting,
Tiffany.
yeah, I got you, no problem. Whoever's hosting this evening, if you could engage the sharing option for me.
Just want to double check our board office colleagues were able to enable sharing functions.
I've got it now, so I'm sharing now. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Wonderful, thank you. I just lost it.
Screen 3. Let's see. Can you see it?
We certainly can.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. I'll present it for you now.
So that's just our opening. If you could go to the second slide, that would be great. I have to tell you to move them. That's right?
That's right. Following your lead.
Okay, yeah, you can go to the second slide. I'll just start. Is that okay? Good evening. My name is Will McKenna, and I'm the founder and executive director of AFIA Baltimore, which operates the Tunbridge School and the Bel-Air Edison School. I'd like to thank Dr. Santelises, Commissioner Sally, and the entire Board of School Commissioners for the time this evening. With me tonight are Karen Hughes, the academic director of AFIA Baltimore, Aisha Wicks, the principal of Tunbridge, and we also have our two principals from the Bel-Air Edison School, Tiffany Halsey and Gabby Mealy. They're up next, but they'll be sitting by here as we do Tunbridge. We move to slide 3.
This is your slide 3 here. I'm gonna go to your slide 4 for
It's
you.
frozen, Tiffany. It's not sharing. Let's pause for a second. We can pause time. Sorry about this. It went smoothly yesterday. I don't know why it will.
Yeah,
That's all right.
I think it started off with the, I'll move it here. We'll do
If
it
you're
one
using
more
a double monitor, it might be pulling from
The
a
wrong
different
screen.
monitor.
I think that's it. I tried to be super advanced and it's not working, but let's try it this way.
Oh. Oh. Trying.
Can we see the screen now?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go from the beginning and then we'll let me
Okay,
know
I
when you'd
think
like
we
me to
went
stop.
slide 3, if that's possible.
Oh, there we
Is
go.
that
Okay.
right?
one.
That's one.
Are we able to see it now?
Slide one, yeah.
We see slide one.
It's not advancing.
You may want to do the presenter mode on that. That may help too.
All right, one more shot. I just unplugged that additional screen, see if that supports it. So we see this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try from the beginning. It's loading on my end.
You're on slide one.
Okay, you see that? Okay.
Yeah. Now, there's two.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, we got it. We want the next one then.
This is the one you want.
You got
Yeah,
it.
all right.
Oh, we made it. Okay.
All right, now I don't know what to say anymore. I'm totally confused, but we're good. We are very honored that Dr. Santelises is recommending Tunbridge for an 8-year renewal. We believe over the past 14 years, Tunbridge has had many successes, including high academic achievement, consistently performing well on our SERs, providing a pathway for our students to get into the best high school, public and private, in our city, and creating a school that is welcoming and engaging for students and families alike. We are happy with the recommendation and grateful and proud to continue our work in Baltimore well into the future. If you can go to the next slide, and I'm going to turn it over to Principal Wicks.
Good evening. My name is Aisha Wicks, and this is my second year as principal of Tunbridge, and I'm delighted to be in this role. I came to Tunbridge to build on the school's legacy of achievement and success, but I'm also charged with helping our school improve in many key areas, and I'm dedicated to doing just that. I do want the board to know that we have many plans in place to continue our success over the next decade and beyond. Focus areas for these plans include consistently and coherently implementing high-quality curriculum in all content areas, along with aligning interventions that scaffold students to grade level. Focusing on elementary academic achievement and math and literacy, particularly grades 4 and 5. We have made some significant structural and programmatic changes in these grades this year, and will continue to monitor this work both this year and going forward. Strengthening our support for our students with disabilities in achieving effective performance or higher. Continuing to support strong, explicit, and systematic foundational reading skill instruction, as well as any needed interventions. And finally, continuing to focus on our enrollment, recruiting students from around the city, and creating a welcoming and engaging environment for our families. If you can go to the next slide. If we do these things well, then we're confident that past and present successes of Tunbridge will continue far into the future. We are here tonight speaking on behalf of the Tunbridge staff and families. This 8-year renewal recommendation speaks to their hard work and support. We would like to publicly thank them for that. We look forward to working with them and continuing to partner with Baltimore City Public Schools to change experiences and outcomes for our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on the great work. I'll turn it over to commissioners. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none. Angela, we can go to the next school.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Are you?
So we're going to bring up Bel Air Edison as our next school. They're an elementary middle school across 2 campuses with 2 school leaders. They're developing in student achievement and school climate. They're effective in financial management and governance, and their recommendation is for a 3-year renewal with conditions to improve academic performance. With that, I'm going to invite the Bel Air team to begin.
Okay, Tiffany, again, the slides, and maybe while you're doing that, we'll go ahead and do our introductions, if that's okay.
Sounds great.
Maybe a little out of order, but that's okay. Once again, I'm Will McKenna, the founder and executive director of AFIA Baltimore, which operates the Bel-Air Edison School.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Halsey. I have been in Baltimore City. I began my career in Baltimore City in 2001. I started in the Bel-Air Edison community in 2008, and then I moved to the Bel-Air Edison Middle School, which was formerly known as AFIA Public Charter School, in 2017.
Good evening. My name is Gabby Mealy. And I have also worked in the Bel-Air Edison community since 2008, which has been my entire career in Baltimore City Schools. I first began as a teacher at Brems Lane, then as an instructional leader, then an assistant principal, and now the principal of the elementary school.
Are we on the right side? Which one do we want to get to?
Okay.
Tiffany, can you move it to
Okay.
that's fine. I can say that. I just would like to say on behalf of the school and our principals and our ABI staff that we are in agreement with the recommendation that Dr. Santelises has made to the board, and thankful for the opportunity to continue our work with the students and families in the Bel-Air Edison neighborhood. Our principals are going to talk about our successes and plans for the future, but I did want to give the board a very quick history of the conversion. We converted Brems Lane Elementary School to a neighborhood school in 2016. In 2019, we merged Brems Lane Public Charter School with AFIA Public Charter School, which we were also operating at the time to create a dual facility pre-K through 8 zoned neighborhood school. And then in 2019, we renamed the merged school to the Bel-Air Edison School. We're going to move to the next slide. We'd like to take a minute to highlight some of our progress, and then we'll talk about the work that we need to do.
Hi, I'm Karen Hughes. I'm the academic director for AFIA Baltimore. From day one, we knew that our focus on literacy was essential. We have worked strategically to strengthen our programming and are seeing evidence of that progress. In K-3 foundational reading, where it all begins, we have seen a 12 percentage point growth from 26% proficiency in 21-22 to 38% in 23-24. On state reading assessments in grades 3 to 5, we grew from 8% proficiency on the 2019 PARC to 18% proficiency on the 2024 MCAP. We have focused on creating strong, safe, and joyful school communities. Our suspensions have decreased significantly from 8.5 per 100 students in 19-20 to 4.9 in 23-24. We work tirelessly on attendance. Last year, our middle grades attendance increased from 81.1 in 22-23 to 85.4 in 23-24. We are proud of this growth and committed to the improvements needed. No area of improvement is more important to us than to improve our students' MCAP performance at all grades. As outlined in our renewal application, we believe we have solid plans in place to do this. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Tiffany.
So our plan for improvement over the next 3 years includes consistent and coherent implementation of high quality curriculum in all content areas, especially literacy and math. We will leverage the structures and tools of these resources to give all of our students authentic, meaningful, and consistent experiences with grade level content. We will continue to provide support for engaging, effective, and equitable instruction in every classroom, every day, with clear school-wide focus areas for growth in teacher practice and ongoing and embedded professional learning and coaching for our teachers. We will stay laser focused on providing core grade level foundational reading instruction that is explicit, systematic, and aligned with research.
We will also continue to provide cycles of data-driven, evidence-based interventions in both math and reading in all grades. And finally, we will ground ourselves in the structures and practices essential to safe, inclusive, and joyful school community. We will continue to focus on our work to improve attendance and reduce suspensions. Next slide, please. Our goal remains to create a neighborhood school in Bel Air Edison that provides a high-quality education for our students, an education that includes a safe and engaging learning environment, an opportunity to learn and grow, and a place where families feel welcome and proud. We believe succeeding in this work will take time and sustained commitment. We plan to use the next 3 years to make this kind of incremental gains necessary for long-term success. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I'll turn it over to commissioners for any questions. All right, thank you so much to the Bel Air Edison
Sorry,
team.
Commissioner. I'm not quite sure how the hand raising function works on Zoom, so I may have to just interject tonight, Commissioner Parker. But
Yep, please.
Team, thank you so much for your presentation and for what appears to be a very solid and thoughtful plan for improving student achievement in the coming years. I'm curious, as I look at the SGP data, math 4.5 seems to be a bit of an outlier, and I guess I would love to hear the team give its reflections on why that might be and what the sort of specific plan to address that is.
So we are currently in our second year of implementing our new math curriculum, and this is the illustrative Open Up math curriculum. We noticed that when using Eureka that it was not student-centered. And so what we decided to do is we invested in leveraging this high-quality curriculum around a student-centered approach and a problem-based approach to math. And it gives our teachers a powerful tool to make the instructional shifts that are required. We see already progress with our students through our interim assessments. It is a mind shift that is required by our teachers, but we are committed to providing with them coaching and professional development to make sure that they are able to make the necessary changes for our students.
I'll follow up with a question I had regarding the 5 Essentials survey. It was noted specifically for this school that you have a not effective rating. Can you talk to me a little bit about where your areas of targets are to ensure you're continuing to progress?
Our biggest area is around parental involvement, getting our parents into our building, providing them with opportunities to know who we are so that they are able to answer our surveys. They are able to speak to the work that's happening in our schools. We started out with the beginning of the year strong with having dual parental activities so that families will be able to say, this is what's happening in our schools. We are learning about the curriculum, telling them about our curriculum, and providing them with resources so they can support their children. And so we believe that that's going to speak to how they respond to our surveys.
Great. A follow-up question. This one's for Mr. McKenna. Can you help me understand, so the difference between, like, as an operator, when we see Tunbridge and you guys as an operator having a meets expectations rating, and then here you have some developing area, what is the difference between the support and services and meeting the expectations that City Schools has as an operator and how you're applying that at Tunbridge versus here at Bel Air Edison?
It's a really good question. Thank you. We've spent a lot of time when we think about the word equity and what it means across our schools, is we want to make sure that the students at Bel Air Edison School have the same kinds of learning opportunities as the students at Tunbridge. So programmatically, we're very much, it's why our principals are here tonight, because we do think of ourselves as a team all together across our schools. But programmatically, we're really trying to implement the same kinds of curriculum, the same kinds of interventions, the same kinds of arts and resources, the same kinds of after-school program across all of our campuses, because we have 3 different campuses, so that we can get at that equitable opportunity for students. I think the reality is, and you certainly see it across the Baltimore City and across the country, you know, Tunbridge, while Tunbridge has a very large African American population, 87%, the poverty is quite low. It's one of the very few schools in Baltimore City that has like a solid Black middle class. The poverty at the Bel Air Edison School is extraordinarily high. I think it's 87% poverty rate. So I think that's the biggest challenge, and we see that in our implementation. Just something as simple as like attendance. The attendance at Tunbridge is 93, 94%. The attendance last year at the Bel Air Edison School, where we're doing the same kinds of intensive work, was about 84, 85%. So we struggle all the time with the dynamic that you're talking about, and we're trying to level the playing field by making sure that we are implementing the same kind of program. That's our check. We want to make sure we have a high quality program in both schools, so that we're giving the same opportunity for kids across our campuses.
And I can imagine also like targeting just where the demographics are different, the circumstances are different at Bel Air Edison versus at Tunbridge, but pulling best practices over to the campus.
Absolutely, and we're absolutely committed to. You know, it's a difficult reality, but we don't want that to be an excuse. We expect our schools across the board to be achieving or improving. That's just the bottom line.
Thank you.
Can I follow that question up to ask if there are measurable differences in teacher retention across the 2 campuses?
No, we've done quite a bit of looking at teacher retention, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but for example, I mean, Principal Halsey can speak to it. She's had a very high success with teacher retention. They're similar. We haven't had a high retention across our schools. Across our schools, and I think that's a tribute to the programming, the principals, and the support that's there for the teachers. You know, there are a lot of factors in why you see the differences in performance, and I don't think the teacher retention issue is one of them.
I had one other quick question. Looking just a little bit at chronic absentee rates and then the suspension rates, looking, you're like, you know, certainly there's COVID and lots of things captured there. And you're trending there's good movement, but I'm looking specifically with students with disabilities and just talking about kind of what the strategy specifically with suspensions, but also with chronic absenteeism and kind of what's the work that's happening at the 3 through 5 level and at the 6 through 8 level.
So around suspensions at our 3 through 5 level, especially, we have really we surveyed our staff, and one of the biggest things, especially with our students with disabilities and just making them feel inclusive and part of our school community, was creating and implementing a curriculum around social emotional learning. So last year we began with Second Step. We start our day every morning with Morning Circle, and that is infused into our day. And all students, regardless of if they're gen ed or they fall under that student with disabilities, they're part of that time, and they are being taught specific ways to cope with problems, as well as how, like, calming strategies. And we know that a big focus in our school is also to build and maintain stronger peer-to-peer relationships. We felt like all of our students have staff that they trust and they support, but the work ahead is for us to really make sure that they feel safe and valued among their peers.
At the middle school level, we changed our curriculum or our programming a little bit in maybe about 6 years ago, where we believe in connection before content. So we start our day with the advisory model, but our model is about 45 minutes of the day where kids get to connect with each other, they connect with their teachers, they get to connect with an adult that they believe in. When we came back from the pandemic, it took us a lot of time to get to know each other again, the kids getting to know us. We have all students included in that work, including special educators who are part of the advisory model also. So students have the opportunity to see adults, the same adults throughout the day, connect with them if they have any concerns or any issues, and then we end our day connecting again. So we believe that keeping the students in the school and having them there is very important. So we start with a connection and we end with a connection so that we can support the kids. In addition to using that second step curriculum to guide them on how to successfully interact with each other. So that's helping us as we are decreasing our suspensions. We also use the restorative practice approach. So kids are able to now circle up. In middle school, they say, we need to circle. I need to circle with this person so that they can proactively solve any conflict that is occurring.
All right, thank you. As commissioners, are we good? All right, thank you to the Bel Air Edison team. Ms.
Thank you.
Alvarez, the next school, please.
Yep, so we're gonna bring up Creative City Public Charter School. It's an elementary school. Oops, went the wrong way. It's developing in each area, student achievement, climate, financial management, and governance. It's recommended for a non-renewal of the operator and the school closure at the end of the year 2025. So with that, I'm gonna invite the Creative City team to go ahead and turn on their cameras and introduce themselves and begin.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Awesome. Thank you. I'm Tracy Johnson Mathena. I am the executive director and the principal of Creative City, and we should be ready to go. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. At Creative City, we believe that we have earned a 3-year conditional renewal because we are a reflective and improving school. Throughout our contract term, we have demonstrated improved academics, climate, and financial management. When we saw challenges, we began to address them as soon as they arose. The SER reflected many of the things that we were already working on. In my new role as ED and principal, I have worked with our team to find and use resources and partners to support students, staff, our board of directors, and the community. City Schools is recommending that we close at the end of this school year. We respectfully disagree for 4 reasons. Next slide, please. First, our academic performance met the conditions of our last renewal, as City Schools acknowledges. In the first 2 years of our contract, we were close to or above the district average in MCAP scores for math and for ELA, and above in science. We are on track this year to meet our goals, and we're showing improvement. 1 year of a challenge should not negate the progress we have made. Next slide, please. Second, we recognize the significant findings in our special education audit and began addressing them well before there were recommendations. We take our reporting responsibility seriously, and the yellow box there shows us that the actions that we've put in place. Although there were issues found on how we documented services, our special education students demonstrated growth on MCAP in both math and ELA. That means for us that their needs were being met through the classroom instruction, and we provided their IEP services. Next slide. Third, our school climate is one of the hallmarks of our school program. We are intentional about how we create it, and suspensions are a last resort. Our restoration station, our restorative practice area, received 1,339 visits last year. Last year saw an increase in suspensions because we used more in-school suspensions to reduce instructional time loss. It also increased because we had suspensions in the K-2 grade band, which had to be approved by the district, and most of them were in-school suspensions, which that did not happen in previous years. Next slide, please. Finally, we have a robust use of data. Throughout our contract term, we implemented the same data cycle that we successfully used to meet the renewal conditions in 2021. We use data to set our school-wide goals. We connect classroom data collection and the analysis to instructional actions like reteaching, grouping, and intervention to keep students on track to meet their academic goals. Next slide, please. To guide our improvement, we have placed conditions on ourselves. We have listed 3 here that we would like you to consider. As you think about those, I ask you to listen to a representative from our most important stakeholder group. Next slide, please.
Hi, my name is Pamela Green, and I'm in the 4th grade. Creative City has helped me academically in my math, reading, and writing. The teachers and staff make us feel like our thoughts and feelings are important. They motivate and encourage us to be great. My teacher, Miss Mitchell, has a rule. Her students have to take everything she knows and put it together with what we know, and then we can be smarter than her. Our school is involved with the community. For example, the Baltimore Peace Movement, where everyone can participate. More kids are willing to learn in this community because they know us and feel comfortable here. I believe that my schoolmates and I and students in the future should continue to have the opportunity to attend Creative City. We care, we question, we collaborate, we create. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Creative City is Park Heights. We are on every sidewalk, in every business and church, and in every home. Even the kids who do not go here know us. As the principal and ED, I am confident that we can implement and monitor the changes our village has put in place to improve student outcomes and continue our work in this community. It starts where we stand, and we stand with Park Heights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the student representative. You did a good job representing your peers. Thank you so much. Thank you. Commissioners, you can jump in, you can physically, because I know the raised hand is not working well. So I'll now take questions from the commissioners.
Principal Mathena, can you tell me a little bit about your journey with special education and what some of the challenges are? How did we arrive here today with regard to your special education services?
Our audit showed that there were discrepancies and problems with a lot of the documentation. We had some difficulties with our ITAs in how we were working with them, how we were making sure that the different things were being done. And one of the things that happened is that last year we moved to a model that did not have an ITA. We had our assistant principal act as the IEP team chair, and he did an excellent job, except for the fact that he also was the assistant principal, and owning the fact that we really needed to make sure that that job was a job that somebody was dedicated to doing all times, and to make sure that we were meticulous in what we were doing to document. I feel like that was the challenge that we had last year. Our students are learning in the classroom, as evidenced through the growth that we saw on the MCAP. We are working very diligently to make sure that our paperwork and our organization actually meets up to the work that I see that's being done in our classrooms. We have changed our model to make sure that we have an ITA. We have our assistant principal who is meeting weekly with the entire special education team and related services folks to make sure that documentation is done and that they're talking to each other about services. We are monitoring the way that all of our meetings have the notes are being signed into, and making sure that we are being very, very careful about noting the documentation of services. I honestly believe that we have put things in place that are going to make sure that moving forward, we will not have that problem again.
Thank you. Any other commissioners?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I'm a little bit curious about, you reflected in the documents you submitted to us on your use of curriculum, and it seems like you're reflecting on making some changes in that area. Have you landed on changes that you may be making to curriculum? And if so, where are you landing? What will you be using for math and for ELA? What have you been using? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. Last year, and I think I alluded to the fact that we started seeing that there were problems before any of the findings came out. So last year, our teachers were very concerned about making sure that our ELA instruction was based in the science of reading, and that our math was being more student-centered. And we had Eureka Math last year, and we had moved away from what we had been using, which was Fontes and Pinnell and some of the work there. So what we did was we did a sampling of different curriculum and landed on using this year open court reading for ELA in all of our grade levels. And this year we're using iReady mathematics classroom core curriculum for the mathematics. We've already seen in our classrooms and in the short assessments in the time that we've been in school so far that our students are truly gravitating to the structures that are in place with these two curriculum. We also found, because we are a project-based, place-based, and arts integration school, that the subjects and the units within those curriculum actually help us better ground our arts integration and place-based project work. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are things there that we can embed and still be able to be true to our mission.
Question I had, and thank you, Ms. Mathena, and thank you so much to our student for her contributions to the presentation. I appreciate it very much. It's helpful to have the student insight, and I guess my question is about the parental insight, especially when I see a school that receives a recommendation for closure. I'm curious what have been the conversations with families and your other stakeholders in terms of where the school's journey has been and where you need to go?
Thank you for that question. And it's funny because I wish I could just let all of these people that are sitting behind me, I'm not even sure if you can see how many there are, but they're back there. You might have heard them. And they could certainly answer. Sit down, child. All right. They could certainly answer. But the conversations around like where we are right now have been around what can we do? That is always what our community is saying. So our parent involvement has been high, but one of the things that I believe we have been missing is the opportunity to truly have them partner on the instructional work. They have come in, they sit in classes, they work with their children, but I honestly believe that in some ways, professional developments and things like that, so that they see what we're teaching, so that they can be at home also sort of modeling the same types of things we're doing. They have asked and said, what can we do? And now we have people that are truly learning even our curriculum pieces so that they can support at home the work that we're doing in school. We joke about the new math. I mean, I went to school in the 70s as in elementary school. So that's what I'm thinking. This is new math. We literally are teaching parents about numeracy and things like that so that they can help our students succeed. That was one thing that they talked about. They are very vocal in what they expect for their children. And so they know the lines of communication are always open. They can come to me, my assistant principal, Ms. Jackson, or any teacher. And so I feel like they are disappointed, frustrated, in some ways angry that this recommendation has been made because they've seen the things that we are doing to move forward. And we know that we are not in the place that we want to be. So make no mistake, we are not proud of all of the scores that might be going down by 1 percentage point each year. We are not proud of that. We know our students can and deserve to move up, and we are actively working toward it, and our parents are right on board with us.
So you talked a little bit about the partnership with families. Can you tell me a little bit, and which is critical and vital, in this work. I'm curious also about the bridge that you're building with your community partners and how they're going to help you improve outcomes for each and every student at Creative City.
And they're here too. I mean, Park Heights Renaissance, Safe Streets, Divine Counseling, Park Heights Plantation, our urban garden. I can name so many different leader breeders, Help Me Help You mentoring. We've had so many people that have stepped up to work with us to make sure that our children get what they need, whether it's in the classroom or supporting the classroom. We are Baltimore City's first Baltimore Peace Movement school. Back in 2018, we were so aligned with their values that Erica Bridgeford said, this is the kind of school that we need to be a hallmark for what we do. So they work with us, even to the point of helping us lead community meetings. We had a student last year who brought a weapon to school, and that changed so many things for our community, because you think of yourself as safe, you think of yourself as insulated, and this poor baby made a choice that he wasn't trying to hurt anybody, but it turned out that it was a tough choice. So we had a conversation that was facilitated by Baltimore Mediation Center, because we brought in the whole community. It wasn't just the parents, it wasn't just the kids, everybody was affected, and this room was full of people who cared. So part of that bridge that I believe we're building, I'm born in Park Heights. I'm born and raised here. So this is literally home for me. Part of the bridge is making sure that they know we're not just here with our kids and then we go home to our places. They know that we are in this space, we are of this space, and we are for this space. And I believe that that's how we are making so many connections and really having partnerships that are supporting the school.
Great, thank you. And what I hear from you is, there's a real sense of urgency in terms of the work, in terms of getting the school on track. I share that sense of urgency, just recognizing that, our students each and every year have one shot at that grade, and we want to make sure that they have the best quality education that they have. So thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Was looking a little bit about kind of instruction, coaching, and supportive, or the support that's being provided to teachers and kind of their growth over the last 3 years, and then kind of what you're thinking about that looks like next, and what that looks like in terms of how do you systematize that?
In the past, we have had, well, actually, this is still true now, but we had collaborative teams where teachers who were more seasoned would help coaching newer teachers, but we didn't have a whole lot of new teachers until recently. And so that has made us have to actually shift our mindset around new early career teachers, and what is it that they need in order to be supported. We have an ILT, an instructional leadership team that is dedicated to working with the new teachers and making sure that they get the guidance that they need. We're working with a model now where not only are they going into planning sessions and working with teachers, but we are also putting coverage into the seasoned teachers' room so that they can go to and help and watch and coach the folks that are new to the career. The other piece of that, however, is why I got to put my other hat on real quick. Why, as an ED, I got to go find some money, because I'm going to be honest, definitely as a charter school, you cannot rely on fair student funding to get the types of things if you're going to try to have a specialized program. And so I've been building my networks and partnerships to make sure that we have funding to be able to get coverage for the classrooms, to be able to get the resources that our seasoned teachers also need, because they can't just keep giving of their own time without there being some compensation and things like that for the work that's outside of the school day. And they're willing to do it because they're them, but it still isn't fair, and everybody's work is valued. So these are the things that we are working together as an instructional leadership team to put in place.
Well, you raise a good point around the dual roles that you are playing. And you also spoke about the journey through special ed, about your assistant principal having a dual role. How are you going to do that? How are you going to free yourself up so that you can be the operator and really do the fundraising and the strategic oversight that is necessary to sustain the school moving forward?
Well, I'm definitely one of those people that says it's people, not programs. And so we have an incredible staff of teacher leaders, and my assistant principal is an expert in instructional strategies. We are at a place right now that I truly feel that we have the right people in the right places to be able to support where needed, so that I will be able to do some of that ED work. Also, there are several schools in Baltimore City now where there are principals who are the EDs as well. They're about our size. Some of them might be a little smaller, some might be a little bigger, but I have definitely collaborated with them and talked to them to make sure that I'm getting the guidance to be able to support me in doing what's best for Creative City. I have been at this school for 10 years, and I have watched it evolve. I have watched it grow from only having 3 grades when they first started to now being fully K-5. We are right-sizing ourselves because we are a small school. And I believe that with the partnership of other EDs who are in this role, and with the strength of the teachers and teacher leaders and administrators that I have here in the building, we are going to be able to build my capacity to be able to make those other things happen.
Thank you. And again, thank you to our peer student representative. Thank you all. Thank you to all the students in the background. Thank you. Ms. Alvarez, can we go to the next school, please?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, next we are going to bring up Elmer A. Henderson, Johns Hopkins Partnership School. It's an elementary middle school. It has a developing in student achievement, effective in climate, effective in financial management and governance. They're recommended for a 3-year renewal. And so with that, I'm going to invite our Henderson Hopkins team to turn their cameras on, and they may begin introducing themselves.
Thank you, Ms. Alvarez. Good evening to the board. My name is Christopher Morphew. I'm the Dean of the School of Education at Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins serves as the operator for Elmer A. Henderson Elementary Middle School. I'm grateful to be here today to discuss the school's performance and your recommendation for a 3-year renewal. We're very proud of Henderson Hopkins' performance on the climate, financial management, and governance metrics. We have a great leadership team that is passionate about serving our students and our community. We understand we have work to do to improve our academic outcomes, and we embrace this opportunity to grow. President Daniels and I remain committed as the school operator to supporting the school's delivery of improved academic outcomes for students and parents at Henderson Hopkins. Now I'd like to turn it over to our principal, Peter Canham, who will go over our strengths, areas of growth, and plans to improve our academics moving forward.
Great. Thank you, Dean Morphew, and thank you to the Board of School Commissioners and Dr. Santelises. I first just want to say that I've been the principal here for the past 6 years, and it's been my great honor and privilege to serve the East Baltimore community. We've made a lot of progress, and we still got work to do, and we're committed to do it. I would ask to advance to the next slide, please. So, our overall areas of strength, and I'm going to talk about our growth in academics, is that we're a school in demand. We've seen a 20% increase in enrollment over the past 5 years, which we're very proud of, particularly post-pandemic. We've grown the school. See 300 applications submitted and a wait list of over 200. We scored highly effective in cohort retention. Our students and families stay once they come. And we're a healthy organization that is meeting the needs of the community. 87% of our families are satisfied in our and got effective in our metric. With our enrollment increase, our direct certification increased to 80%, from 55% to 80% over the years. And we're proud to service the students with the most need. We have strong attendance of 91%. We're committed to getting that to 95%. And our chronic absenteeism has been reduced from 39% to 32%. While we're not happy with that either, our goal for chronic absenteeism this year is 25%, but we scored highly effective there. Food insecurity is a really big deal in East Baltimore, where we serve, and we're an anchor for the community. Through the pandemic, through today, we've given over 1 million pounds of food to our community and our families, and we'll continue to do that to serve our community. And we have significant operator support and school governance that we're proud of, and we've been incredibly fiscally responsible. Next slide, please. But at the end of the day, post-pandemic, as we grow the school, we have to improve our academics, and that's the commitment. How do we move our students from developing to proficient? We've got a strong base that we're going to build on. First, we've introduced honors programming and algebra for all for 8th graders. The middle school growth in ELA and math is strong based on our metrics. So we are getting good, strong growth. We've got to get to mastery and proficiency. 62% of our 8th graders are going to top entrance criteria high schools, city, poly, and we're very proud of that. It was 24% when I took over in 2018-19. And we've implemented a science of reading block that has 70% of our students approaching or at or above grade level in K-2 reading. Our goal is 100% of our students reading by 2nd grade. We're seeing significant progress there, and we see a day that 100% of our students will get there. But at the end of the day, we have areas of growth. We need to improve our math proficiency in elementary and middle school, and we have a plan to do that. That's going to be the next slide. We have us supporting our ELA growth in upper elementary, and we need to move on our special education students to proficiency. We're meeting our IEP goals, making sufficient progress, but we need to move our special education students to proficiency. And with our growth in our student body, post-pandemic, we've had culture and climate issues that we are readily addressing and are committed to reducing the number of suspensions that we have on the books. But then now I want to turn it over to Ms. Bradford, who is our Dean of Academics, and is going to talk about our pathway forward.
That is actually time.
Okay.
All righty. So I will turn it over to commissioners for any questions.
I have a question relating to the 5 essentials. As you all are reviewing and have been considering what the scores in the 5 essentials are illuminating, how are you thinking about the areas that have shown weaknesses or areas that how are you interpreting the findings in those reports?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. The first is student safety. So that came out, student safety and trust. And so we are, that's the first area that we're addressing. And so really building out our restorative practices approach, our SCL curriculum that we're implementing. We've hired 2 deans of students in the middle school, the elementary school, and behavioral specialists who are working students to and through to realize how to create an environment that is safe and healthy. So that's the number one thing that came out of the 5 essentials, the student safety component, and making sure students feel safe and it's a healthy environment. And so our SEL, our restorative practices, and we've hired a team of people to work alongside teachers to deliver that and build trusting relationships. That's been our big goal. We are, and we also partnered with, we made a shift with the University of Maryland Positive School Center to help do the training and development of our teachers and our behavioral staff to work with our students. And where our goal is, to work on that. The second piece is parent involvement that came out, and that we are taking moves on that. We've are providing parent wellness workshops for our families. We are parent involvement. We need to increase parent involvement as stakeholders. And so we just had a great American Education Week. We had 100 parents come for Shadow Day. And we at the same time had 30 parents sign up and get fingerprinting to volunteer, be active volunteers in the school. So when I think about the 5 essential surveys, it's how to improve the culture and climate and how to involve parents more.
I have a
Thank you.
question
Sure.
for Dean Bradford. Looking at your data, it looks like there are challenges around 4th and 5th ELA and math.
Yeah, thank you for the
Can you
question.
tell me how you are prioritizing or what your priorities are towards academic growth?
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Luthers Bradford, Dean of Academics. We noticed, like you mentioned, that we're not effective in our SGP for ELA and for math in grades 4 through 5. We also recognize that we're highly effective in middle school, and that was our area of focus for the last 2-3 years. And so now we're trying to replicate what worked well in the middle school grades and the 4th through 5th, the upper elementary grades. Part of that is in our differentiated coaching load. So our coaches spend more time with our 4th and 5th grade teachers. Several of them are new teachers as well. So we're ensuring tiered and leveled new teacher support through new teacher mentors, coaches, and our vertical content leads. The other focus is on equitable instruction. And so we're implementing more small group instruction using data to guide that instruction and hopes that that'll help with our SGP and get our students the learning that they need.
Anyone else?
I have a question. This is for Dean Morphew. As the operator, I'm really pleased to see you guys have really strong scores in terms of, internal controls and capacity, which is really important. But given the amount of work that Elmer Henderson needs to complete in terms of getting really strong in the 5 essentials, working on growth, academics, and mathematics, how, as an operator from a world-class institution as Johns Hopkins, can you draw on the research and the resources of the institution to support the school?
So I'll reply to that, and then probably Peter and Tina can jump in as well. So thanks for the question. I appreciate it. I think if you take a tour through Henderson Hopkins and spend some time there, what you'll see is some of the work and some of the partnership with the School of Education and the university. A couple of examples I would point out. One is the math tutoring program that brings in, I'm going to say dozens, maybe even more than that, of students from all across Johns Hopkins who come in and tutor the students in math, and ELA tutoring is being set up there as well to do the same kind of thing. We have our school counseling students from the School of Education there on their practicum as well. So whenever we get an opportunity, we also have a student we're going to be where I think we launched a new program in teacher education this May, and our goal is to get some of those students and our TFA grads, many of whom end up at Henderson Hopkins as well. So there's a lot of different threads there. Peter, if you guys have better answers than that, jump in.
No, I mean, the Whiting School of Engineering math tutoring program is working with our students 2 grade levels or behind in math, and they're getting 2-to-1 tutoring during the day. And we have 89 students from Johns Hopkins undergraduate and graduate school there.
Including the School of Education, I would point out.
Yeah, and the School of Education. We have the School of Education. We have a teacher in residence, essentially, working alongside our science department, 8th grade person. And I think it's always the question. The question is a really good one. How can we now commit to academic growth and then and get to proficiency. And so I meet with Dean Morphew every other week. I meet with President Daniels on a quarterly basis. We report out against our goals, and that's the focus of the conversation. How can we ramp up and accelerate our academic learning? And we're working alongside them to deliver that.
I would say there's opportunity when I look at this survey here to kind of deconstruct that in terms of like where the zero in focus needs to go and what then therefore the institution can help you guys with as you're kind of fine-tuning that strategy in the years to come.
Yeah, agreed.
Commissioner Kangalabe.
Yes, real quick question. And I look at and once again, piggybacking off of Chair Sally's question, here we have a world-class information institution that sponsors this particular school. What plans of innovation in education are we seeing enacted in the school? How are we utilizing the growth of our knowledge on education and the changes in education to create an innovative environment? Because I expect that out of this operation.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're partnering with them. So the two innovations I'd say right now that we're working on is how do you train and develop high quality STEM teachers, and we are working alongside them to deliver that. And the research we are doing with Whiting School of Engineering, we have a research-based 50-hour tutoring program for our 4th to 8th students to accelerate them. And our SGP, our student growth potential in our math, shows that we're seeing progress there. So those are the two biggest innovations around the academics. And we're going to continue to think about what our big challenges are and innovate around them.
If I may, I think another area of innovation is really in our equitable instruction and the way that we're leaning into equity here. So we're really focusing on academic rigor. So often in classrooms, teachers do a lot of the thinking and caring for students. And so when we think about innovating, it's actually in the way that we implement instruction as well, to allow more of that onus to be on students in their learning. So that is related to Hopkins, right? In that we're trying to be world-class in the way that we're instructing in our classrooms, even if it looks a little different than what we're used to seeing in classroom spaces.
Thank you very much. And with that, I will have to leave this meeting. I have another meeting that I have to be at. I'm very sorry, but I appreciate your input and all your hard work. Good night for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, if that's all the commissioners' questions and comments, thank you to the Elma A. Henderson School, and we're ready for our next school.
Thank you.
Okay, so next I'm going to bring up City Neighbors Hamilton. They are an elementary middle school. They are effective in each area: student achievement, climate, financial management, and governance. They are recommended for a 5-year renewal. With that, I'm going to have the City Neighbors Hamilton team turn their cameras and they may begin.
Good evening, School Board of Commissioners. My name is Mike Chalupa, and I serve as Executive Director of the City Neighbors Foundation, which operates City Neighbors Hamilton. I'm actually also a proud co-founder of CNH, which will enter its 17th year as a school next year. With me tonight are Jabari Bush, Principal, LaShawn Bowser, Educational Associate, and Mary Alice Yeski, Board President. We are a project-based, arts-integrated, Reggio Emilia-inspired parent school cooperative. We strive to center not only high-quality learning, but high engagement and student voice and interest in our design and work. And as part of our design question from the start, we strive to have all students and all members of our community be known, loved, and inspired.
Next slide. Good evening. I joined City Neighbors Hamilton as the principal 2 years ago, after having served as assistant principal at City Neighbors High School for 6 years. In these few years, we have been hard at work. Here are 7 growth strategies we have been working on. Next slide. Thank you. We prioritize our culture setting. We create a strong student support team. We invested in restorative practices and significantly expanded our extracurricular activities. We have revised and elevated our data and our data structures in our school, including investing in staff person to lead our data work and our intervention work. We have significantly expanded our out-of-school time learning opportunities, including over 24 planned after-school offerings this school year. We have introduced formal honors classes for our middle school students. Next slide, please. We have brought in new curricula in math, a formal phonics program in grades K through 3, a literacy curriculum in grades K through 8. We have invested deeply in our equity work that's embedded all through our school. We have expanded our intervention model to include 2 intervention teachers and expand to an intensive model for grades 3 through 8. Next slide.
With all of this work, we have seen marked signs of growth and success. In 2022 and 23, and again this year, City Neighbors Hamilton was ranked a 4-star school. Since 2022, our MCAP proficiency rates grew 16 points in elementary reading and 20 points in elementary math. On the 2024 MCAP, CNH students met and surpassed state averages in 3rd and 7th grade math and in every grade level but 1 in reading. We increased proficiency rates of our elementary African American students by over 30 points in reading and nearly 25 points in math. We also saw marked increases in middle school. We reduced the elementary achievement gap by 28.6 points in ELA and additional 7 points in math. Next slide, please. We continue to be fully enrolled and in high demand with 8 applicants for every open seat, and our student cohort retention ranked in the 99th percentile of the district. As a parent-student cooperative, our families contributed over 6,000 hours of documented time to our school in the last 2 years. We have continually high attendance rates, topping 96%, low chronic absences, and very low suspension rates. As both a proud parent and the president of the board of directors, I can attest to the strength of our work and our community. City Neighbors Hamilton is a special place, and our outcomes reflect just some of what makes our communities succeed.
Next slide, please. We have so much to be proud of, and we still recognize that there is lots of important work ahead of us. As we look to the next 5 years, we're focused on a few key areas of growth. We're focused on strengthening math instruction by fully implementing our new curriculum, expanding intervention and accelerating opportunities, and enhancing out-of-school math learning. We're focused on advancing equity and anti-racist teaching by introducing a new teacher tool, continuing to close achievement gaps, and developing our next 3-year equity plan. Expanding advanced learning options for K-6 students as a pathway to a robust honors programming in grades 7 and 8, and deepening our commitment to rigorous, engaging, project-based learning that centers student interest and promotes achievement. We're also focused on growing arts, technology, and out-of-school programming guided by our City Neighbors 2030 strategic plan. This is just a glimpse of our vision. At City Neighbors Hamilton, we continuously reflect, innovate, and grow. Together as educators, parents, and students, we're embracing the work ahead of us with determination and collaboration. Next slide, please.
With all the hard work has been done, we are really proud of our school and what we are and what we have accomplished in the last few years.
I apologize. That is time. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners? All right, so seeing no questions, keep up the
Angela,
good
can you
work.
repeat the
Okay.
recommendation, the CEO recommendation?
They're recommended for a 5-year renewal.
Thank you.
All right, so just closing out, keep up the good work. Thank you all for your presentation.
Thank you all.
Next, we're going to bring up Southwest Baltimore Charter School. It is a elementary middle school. They are not effective in student achievement, developing in climate, effective in financial management and governance, and are recommended for non-renewal and closure at the end of the school year, summer 2025. And with that, I'm going to invite the Southwest Baltimore Charter School team to turn on their cameras and begin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Smith, and I'm the Executive Director of Southwest Baltimore Charter School. I'm here tonight with our Principal, Nina Johnson, as well as our Community School Coordinator, Reese Cox. Our recommendation has two parts, which is both the school closure and the non-renewal of the charter, and we wanted to take a minute to address both of these as they both have considerations and are two different votes. Next slide, please. So we are at SBCS adamantly, passionately opposed to the idea of closing and vacating our building after the school year. There are many reasons for this, and I will just list a few. The first are the facilities themselves. We took over 15 years ago a building that was district operated and slated for closure. We put into our building more than $2.5 million over the last 15 years. We just cut a ribbon right next door with the mayor of a $3.5 million renovation of a rec center that we have a strong partnership with. There's literally millions of dollars more committed to our area in a courtyard and game fields and playing fields. And it's such an up and coming area that the idea that it will be left vacant is really is tough to stomach. I also want to point out that we have programs, not just our own unique programming, but we also have a PAL program through 5th grade. We have a primary grades partner program that really needs consideration in terms of what will happen to these programs if this building is closed. And then finally, and just really briefly, we've been here for 20 years. We really are an institute in the area. We've been a community school long before a community school was there, and we're in an area where there was a recent school closure just within the last year or so, and we really believe that we are heading in the right direction with it. So let's go to the next slide, please. Broadly, I'm gonna hand it over to Principal Johnson in just a moment, but I do want to point out that we totally understand where we are in terms of renewal rubric. To make concise out of something that's really complex, what our narrative is, what our story is, and what we're advocating for is not a repeat of the last 3 years, but a continuation of the work that Principal Johnson and I have been able to do together and our entire community in the last year and a half. So with that, I am going to hand it off to Principal Johnson, and I look forward to chatting in just a few minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Going through our SCR and our renewal process really highlighted some information for us that we'd already been aware of and had already taken some action steps to address. One area of growth for us is in delivering consistent, high-quality instruction. We know that in order to do this, it's important for us to recruit, support, and retain excellent teachers. Some of the things that we've done to take steps in that direction, we've developed a partnership with the City Teaching Alliance. We've invested in PD opportunities with EL, which is another one of our partner organizations. We've sent staff all over the country for professional development. We also host weekly professional developments in our school building. We've entirely reworked our staffing structure explicitly to create systems of support and learning for our teachers so that they can continuously improve. We know another key area of growth for us is in outstanding student achievement, and that is tied directly with strong attendance. We also have had some struggles with attendance, but we have made significant improvement in this area. Our attendance committee is meeting weekly to identify concerns. We're contacting and communicating with families, and our current attendance data, we're up to 93% this school year. In addition to working on attendance, our grade level teams are engaging in data cycles and providing targeted small group instruction for our scholars. Students are analyzing their own data, setting goals for themselves, and sharing their action plans with their families through student-led conferences. Our students engage in field study experiences where they get these immersive, expeditionary opportunities to learn outside of the four walls of the classroom. And our data is showing the movement. At the beginning of school year 23-24, 13% of our scholars were performing on or above grade level in reading based on iReady. By the end of that school year, that number had increased to 25%. Similarly, in math, we started off with 3% at the proficient or above grade level rating, and we moved to 12% by the end of that school year.
And
we
thank
know
you.
that
That is time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Opening up to commissioners.
like for to hear a repeat of Mr. Smith, your recommendation is, if I understand correctly, it's not to close the school. Can you clarify?
Yeah, again, it goes to the point that there are two votes in front of the board, right? One is the idea that the charter itself will not be renewed, and then a second vote is that the building itself closes. And when we received this news, our first sense of duty, sense of obligation, or responsibility to our community was that the building, like we cannot lock up the building and have it become another vacant building in our area, right? So that was just me advocating that, again, in terms of essentially the two questions, charter renewal and building staying open, we want desperately to keep the building open when we want to advocate as a community for that. The second part about charter renewal is we think that we are on the right track. We are very clear with, again, Principal Johnson and I have been in this for just a year and a half. Our SER was conducted in the spring of our first year together. And I do want to point out that of the 4 domains, we were effective in 3 out of 4. We were developing in 1, and we were effective in 10 out of the 12 kind of subcategories of our SER. So we're doing a lot of great things. We think we deserve a 3-year renewal to continue the work that we've done over the last year and a half.
Just to sort of piggyback on what Tim just said, we are trending in the right direction in terms of our data. And I think that given the time to continue that work, we will continue to make that forward progress.
So I'm struggling with the question I want to ask because, I want to honor the hard work of our scholars inside of the building and recognize that our teachers, play a vital role. What I'm struggling with as an operator, when I see a school that is a 2-star school, and you have a charter, and I heard what you said in terms of the 2 votes that are before the board. And so closing the charter, is a big deal as much as it is closing the school and the building itself. And so when we're talking about the kinds of work that the operator needs to do to really support the school, I'm struggling to understand, the strategy and the sense of urgency that as an operator that you have in supporting the school in terms of lifting really quickly, because a 2-star rating says that you're almost at the bottom of the state's accountability index. So talk to me a little bit about just sense of urgency. Like what does this look like for you, for your families, for our scholars, for our teachers inside of the building, and our principal?
Yeah, I think that's a great and really important question. I would point out that, like a lot of schools in the district, I know the improvement in our star ratings has been celebrated just in the last 24 hours. And we are one of those schools that did not go from a 2 to a 3, but we did improve within a 2. In terms of the sense of urgency, I would say this, right? I actually came into this role directly out of a Southwest Baltimore Charter School classroom. I was a history teacher for 5 years before entering this position. I've been here long enough to know what it has been and how wonderful it can be. And I've been here long enough to see that, talking about urgency, that this true sense of I wish I could come back with a better word than urgency, but real dedication and focus singularly on student improvement. Because I know how important it is in the classroom. I know what it feels like to be in an area that needs more support. And I have that, one of the kind of reflections I had was time moves a little differently in this office versus in the classroom. And we need to make sure that we remember, and we always do, how important, how vital every single year is, every class is for our teachers and for our students. The biggest, so I have the spirit of the importance. The biggest thing that we are doing is a recommitment and refocus with our partnership with EL Education. EL is the cultural and then the instructional backbone of SBCS. It's when we were at our best, we were most closely aligned with EL. So that is a commitment that we've made to that work. EL is about supporting students in and actively, intentionally, purposefully teaching in areas of culture and areas of character, in areas of mastery of knowledge and skills, and in high quality work. And that partnership has been a real, really transformational work that we've seen, and that we, again, last year was year one for Principal Johnson and I, and that was where we are really implementing. I know we've been around for a long time, but that was our really implementing this for the first time. And this is our year where we're going to start to see that really start to pay off. So again, I feel that desperately, and honestly, for the last 2 years, because it really has been 2 years. We had, a principal and an executive director leave mid-year 2 school years ago, right? So it's been 2 years of work, honestly, to avoid this recommendation, because we knew the situation we were in, but we're also incredibly proud of the progress that we have made. So you have the urgency of a teacher in this role to make sure that our teachers are supported and that their students are being encouraged and pushed and given exactly what they need to be successful.
So when the system, actually, let me back up. So if you were to come up with a set of conditions, right, that you would impose on yourself that would help to give some confidence that the school is headed in the right direction, what are some things you would prioritize in short order to ensure that you guys as a school and as an operator are really moving that needle real quick?
Yeah. I will answer briefly, and then I feel like Principal Johnson has something that she'd like to add. But we've been very clear. I knew what I was signing up for, right? And we've been very clear that we are in year 2 of a 5-year rebuild. So the conditions to get those next 3 years of this 5-year rebuild are exactly what we've been prioritizing for the last year. And ultimately, that is to become a fully a nationally credentialed EL education school that has not just the high quality, the mastery, knowledge, and skills that we want for all of our children, but also that the robust experiences of teaching the whole child, of being arts integrated, of our adventure programming. And so that the big kind of school-wide push is to become a nationally credentialed EL school, and all the work that will go into that. I would also again, going back, there was a slide about the five pillars, the 5 priorities of our strategic plan. It's high quality instruction. It is outstanding student achievement. It's being a community school. It's being a well-operated school, and it's about anti-racism and equity. And we have partnerships, we have plans, we have taken steps in all of those areas to address those. So what we would ask for is more time to keep those priorities intact. The first 2, again, are around are really with EL. We also have a really robust, really rich, really effective community school strategy and community school coordinator. And we have a partnership with EdOps, and we have a partnership with the Carson Institute for Race, Peace, and Social Justice to work on our advocacy work. So all of these are multi-year contracts that we have entered into that we just want to continue to be able to fulfill.
Some time to make.
And I do just want to kind of dig into some of the specifics of what we are doing to try to improve instruction in the building and to improve student achievement. Our data teams, our grade level teams are engaging in weekly data conversations. Content area teams are developing back maps for the school year, allowing teachers to identify long-term learning targets for both literacy and math, and also to make recommendations for some coherency across all of the subject areas: literacy, social studies, science, math. We actually have what we call Math Fridays, which is, we know math has been a district-wide area of focus. Math Fridays, each grade band engages in hour-long sessions. This happens monthly with our math coach and our EL school designer, and the work is aimed at enhancing specifically our efforts to achieve our long-term math goal, which is to create some consistent math systems of curriculum. We've had some issues with maintaining the curriculum that we're going to use and finding the best one for us. So that team is working through those curriculum questions and trying to find the best one to use for our students. That data work is also where our small groups are determined. We look at our students and specifically what they need, and we're making sure that they have access to grade level content and are able to really just dig into it and not just within the confines of the classroom. Our teachers in 5th to 8th grade are hosting weekly after-school coach classes. We also have daily tutoring through our partnership with Paul's Place for Literacy and Math. That is staffed by fully certified teachers in our building. We received the Summer Boost grant. We hosted Camp Quest, which had this combination of academic and enrichment activities for our students. We also have been hosting literacy and math workshops for our families so that there can be some cohesion between what is being taught in the school and what's going home with families, and so that they can kind of support and reinforce the things that we're doing in the classroom. So we have, like I said, we talked about our staffing structure. We have now math and literacy interventionists in our middle grades who pull small groups. Sometimes they push into the classrooms. They co-teach with our general educators and just make sure that our students, like I said, are getting the specialized target instruction that they really need.
Thank you. I'm going to yield just my time to my fellow board colleagues who may have additional questions, but thank you so much. It's helpful to get an insight.
Thank you.
Can you provide some insight into your engagement with your stakeholders? I'm looking at some concerning like survey data, as well as your support for your teachers and their instructional practice.
I'll start with teachers. Oh, sorry, Reese, go ahead. I was waiting for you. Go ahead, Reese.
I want to answer the first question. As the community school coordinator, this is my second year working at SBCS and my second year actually in this role as a community school coordinator. And from what I have seen in my first year, I don't actually think that that survey data is reflective of our community engagement. We have a plethora of really strong community partners that we work with from a weekly to daily basis, depending on the type of services that they're providing for our students and families. Additionally, our parents are very involved in the both day-to-day in-class support as well as after school and those extra activities and strategizing sessions. We are in year 2 of a really dedicated PTO. Our PTO president, she has created several initiatives for our families, including fundraising for them, as well as creating very unique experiences for our students. And I'm very diligent about my data. So we have sane documentation to represent how many families we're actually engaging. And for every family-oriented event, we are getting at least 60 to 70 families coming each time. So while I understand the concern that you see from that survey data, I do want to push that our families are showing up in other ways and have unequivocally given their support to SBCS.
And the other part of the question was about teacher support. Is that correct? I just want to.
That's correct.
So I would start by saying, that we over the course, again, this is a great example of the work that we've done in just a year starting to bear fruit, right? So over the course of the last year, we had a number of ed associates and of really excellent professionals who had different tasks. And we kind of needed to be, in terms of roles and responsibilities and titles, clarified. And so over the course of the last year, what we did is we came together and we asked over about 8 months of meetings, started with the question, what is the culture and structure of instructional coaching at SBCS? And we took that and we compared it to what do we want to be? What does a high quality EL school look like? And we've come up with this really dynamic and really exciting support model, the SBCS way in coaching, and how we intentionally select, support, follow up with our teachers. And we believe deeply in this idea that everyone deserves coaching. So we've created this entire cycle of teaching support and teaching learning that is not reactive, right? It's not this idea of like, oh, we're going to the classrooms that are having trouble, right? It's not a reflection of teacher struggle. It's a reflection of the fact that everyone deserves support to continue and improve. And I'm really proud of that work. And the coaches we have, math literacy and climate and culture, are doing a tremendous job. And again, it's one of those examples where it took us a year to identify the problem, to identify the solution, to work collaboratively, collectively to develop the solution. And now we're just in our first few months of getting to implement that.
All right. So thank you so much to the Southwest Baltimore Charter School team. And we look forward to the next portion of this presentation. Ms. Alvarez.
Yep. So next I'm going to bring up City Neighbors Charter School. They are an elementary middle school. They are effective in student achievement, climate, financial management, and governance. They have a not effective in programming for students with disabilities, so they're recommended for a 3-year renewal. And with that, I'm going to invite the City Neighbors Charter School team to turn on their cameras, and they may begin.
Good evening. Just waiting for the slide. Okay. Good evening. Next slide, please. My name is Catherine Drayton Barber, and I'm the proud assistant principal of City Neighbors Charter School, a Title I arts-based, project-based parent-school cooperative in Northeast Baltimore. Next year, we will be celebrating our 20th anniversary. We are joined by Bridget Cotman, our principal, Charmaine Turner, our parent and elected board president, and Mike Chalupa, our executive director. Since we were here 3 years ago, we have built on a strong foundation and have done the hard work of reflecting and adapting our practices while staying true to our core values. Next slide.
Good evening, everyone. We have been really hard at work over these last few years. We've made several curricular shifts, implementing illustrative mathematics and foundations. We significantly invested in intervention and support models. Those include full co-teaching in both literacy and math in our middle school grades, and multi-level tiered interventions at all levels. We overhauled our data approach. We appointed a data lead and changed our frequency and outcomes of our data review process. We extended learning through the summer with nearly 30% of our students participating in our summer academic programming. We have also committed to ongoing professional development, ensuring that all teachers are creating complex and rigorous tasks for our students. Next slide, please. We've ensured that equity and culturally relevant pedagogy is woven into the fabric of our practice, including having teacher-led legacy teams to address school-wide goals through an equity lens. And we worked hard to refortify our special education compliance. 3 years ago, we were rated effective for compliance. We made a staffing shift, and after 1 year of really struggling, we self-corrected and reorganized our staffing and structures, and we are now back on track. We added gifted and advanced learning programming for our students in grade K to 8, all while adding our honors programming in our middle school department. And we have formally become a community school this year. We have been very busy at work and we're proud of our work. Next slide, please.
Good evening. We are excited about our growth. Since our last renewal, we've made strides on our test scoring highly effective for growth on the MCAT in every grade band in both reading and math. Our ratings for our absolute scores also improved markedly. Next slide. Our Chicago 5E shows growth in every area since we took it in 2022. Our score for ambitious instruction improved from 42 to 81. Next slide. In 2 years, our elementary students grew 21 points in reading and 11 points in math. In several grades, we surpassed our state averages. Next slide. For our African-American students, our NCAT growth scores show us nearing or surpassing state growth averages for that same demographic at all tested grade levels. Next slide. Our community remains invested and strong. Our cohort retention was in the 90th percentile. Demand remains high with nearly 10 applicants for every open seat. Our families recorded over 7,000 hours of participation.
Next slide, please. Our work is far from done, though. So we have a list of things that we're going to continue to work on. We're going to continue to target math, trying to shift our growth into proficiency. We're going to deepen the strong work we're doing to increase MCAP achievement for our subgroups. We're going to expand honors programming for middle schoolers with more opportunities for K through 5. We have keep working on our project-based arts integrated work and balancing engagement and rigor. And now that we're effectively back on track with special ed, make sure we can sustain generational change for staffing. And we have EL curriculum coming on and a City Neighbors 2030 vision plan. Next slide.
So thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about our school tonight. And we are grateful for the renewal recommendation and we honor the process. However, we do ask the board to take into consideration, given the growth and success that we've had over the past few years and through our progress with self-correcting our special ed challenges, that you would consider us for a 5-year renewal. We are proud to share our work and all of its beauty and its challenges. And no matter what, we are excited about the future here at CNCS. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Commissioners, I open it up to you.
City Neighbors team, congratulations on your hard work and the growth over the past year. It's quite impressive data. I was very interested to read about and to hear about your honors programming. I understand that the work to date sort of represents a pilot. Can you talk about what the full-fledged vision for middle school honors programming looks like and how you ensure equitable access to honors programming across all students?
Awesome. Good question. I guess I'll jump right in, team. So we came up with the vision of how we could really create a robust middle school program that provides our charter students with the same opportunities that they may otherwise get at some traditional institutions. So naturally, the first step was how can we expand and create honors potential and program here at CNCS. So we did that through partnering with our friends at the district. Dennis has been very helpful in helping to position us with the right partnerships to be able to bring on some of that Algebra 1. And right now, we did not have the staffing for it. So we were able to partner through Edumentum, which provides virtual access. So that was one barrier that we eliminated to give our students the same access as other students who may otherwise have that opportunity. So partnering with Edumentum has really been able to leverage the playing field so that our students are able to get access to that Honors 1 programming. Through our model at our school, we're able to infuse honors social studies as well. So when we look at not only student data, but also student interests. So if we have students who may not on paper show that they are ready for honors programming, but they have that deep passion, we want to be able to expose them and provide them with that opportunity as well. And through the support of our co-teaching models and some of our other interventions that we are providing for our students, it will give them the readiness to be able to have exposure to that same rigorous work as well.
Can I add to that? We've also recognized that in order to have students that excel in honors programs in middle school, the work needs to happen in elementary school. So we have really focused on providing advanced programming in the younger grades, again, committing to strategic grouping and making sure that we're not just providing intervention, but providing acceleration, looking at our co-teaching model, also partnering with parents and connecting them with district programs so that the students who are ready for more can get what they need. And again, as part of our data cycle, we do look at racial trends and the sex of people who are placed in higher groups and ask the hard questions around who is ready, even though the data may say one thing, how they're showing up on a daily basis in the classroom shows that they're ready for more. So, so those are some of the questions that we have in our regular data discussion as well to address any inequities that we see.
All right, commissioners, are we good? All right, thank you. Thank you so much, City Neighbors.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right.
Thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ms. Alvarez?
Thank you, guys. All right, so next we're gonna bring up New Song Academy, which is an elementary middle school. This school has a developing in each of the areas: student achievement, climate, financial management, and governance. This is its first review as a charter school. It's being recommended for a 3-year renewal with conditions to expand its school size and improve financial capacity, similar to the Green School. That reading is also dependent on the school's commitment to take the remediation steps as named in the conditions. So there's does not meet in the area of finance. There's some challenges in their financials, and some years of where expenditures exceeded revenue. So this is an area of concern, and so we've had meetings with the school around how to remedy that. And so the readings and the recommendation are tied to that commitment. So I just want to be clear about that, and that is also the same for Green School last night. With that, though, I'm going to go ahead and bring up have the New Song team go ahead and turn on their cameras, and they may begin.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners and Angela, as well in the Office of New Initiative team. Thank you so much. On the call with me tonight are our board chair, co-chair Larry Simmons Jr., and our school leader, Principal Lorraine Richardson, who actually started with New Song Academy this past August when teachers were reporting back in. So she's brand new to us, but she has hit the ground running. Next slide. Thank you for offering us a 3-year renewal. We are very proud and honored with that, especially being this is our first time going through this process. New Song Academy has been in Sandtown, Winchester for over 32 years, and New Song Community Learning Center has been in the community for 34 years. We take our responsibility as operators seriously and are committed to continue our rich history of being an incredibly strong school for the Sandtown, Winchester neighborhood. Next slide, please. The renewal ratings highlight our academic success with our students in our upper grades. We are uplifted by our effective ratings in math and reading, which reflect our focus on instruction. Over this next renewal period, we are working diligently to ensure that our students are finding success in the early elementary grades. One of the ways that we've done that is by creating a partnership with an organization called Parent Child Plus, where we work with families 16 months to 4 years old to get them prepared for pre-K and kindergarten. So we know that our students are coming in below the poverty rate of even the district's average and need a lot of support. So we want to provide that support on the front end because we know our model works, and the longer the scholar stays in our school, the better they do, which is reflective of the data showing the scores in our middle school grades. So by the time we send them out to high school, they're ready to go. Next slide. Our climate success and some opportunities. So school effectiveness review team recognize our school strengths when it comes to cultivating a positive climate. We are proud to have created a culturally responsive and welcoming environment for our children, an environment that families feel consistently maintains open and honest communication. Moving forward, we are continuing to work to increase our strategies to promoting an inclusive environment to reduce chronic absenteeism and our restorative practices to reduce harmful incidents. Next slide, please. Family and inclusion focus. We believe that families are key partners in our success of our families. Together, we can ensure that every child reaches their full potential, continue partnership and support as we strengthen family and community connections to create an inclusive and thriving school environment. Next slide. And of course, we know that for our school to meet our school goals, we must continue to strengthen our financial stability in a sustainable manner. To that end, we are implementing a robust revenue generation plan that will allow us to partner with many community stakeholders. We will recommit to our community fundraising efforts, increase our facility rental fees, and pursue grants that will enable us to effectively meet our targets. We know that if we want to be successful in our work in Baltimore for the long haul, we must be spending and saving our dollars wisely. And we've created an outline of our plan that we've also submitted to the Office of New Initiatives as part of our discussions going forward with them, so that we know we have a plan, a robust plan to effectively address the fiscal issues that are going on with us. In closing, New Song is a wonderful community hub for our children, families, and staff. We believe this renewal reflects our school's strengths and opportunities for growth. We will continue to work in partnership with the school district to deepen our academic rigor, strengthen relationships, and become a welcome and build a welcoming space. As we move forward, we will work intentionally to create and sustain a school that we want for our children. We understand what this renewal means. We recognize that this is an opportunity for us to become the school we've always wanted to be, and we are up to this challenge. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Commissioners?
I do have a question relating to as a newer charter, right, coming through this process, how have you engaged with some of charters that have been in the Baltimore ecosystem for a longer period of time? What are ways that you are learning and listening to how they have been able to successfully navigate some of the same challenges that you are currently facing in some of the operator and financial aspects of the work?
Thank you for that question. We are a member of the Maryland Association of Public Charter Schools, and and since I came on board in December 2020, I have almost never missed a meeting with my colleagues. I lean on them often. I reach out to them often to ask questions on support. I even pass on my staff and school leaders with regards to that part of it. And our former principal was very connected to the other charters as well. So he had a lot of relationships with their principals, would help their principals as well with budgeting and stuff. So we were always in contact with them, and he introduced me to a lot of the operators as well as school leaders in the other charters, and we stay connected with all the work that we're doing. And I'm actually a part of a few committees with the Maryland Association of Public Charter Schools.
A question I had for you, Mr. Green. When I look at the 5 Essential Survey, I noticed one of the areas that I deeply care about, that is among many that I care about, but one is around family engagement. And it seems to indicate that there's some room for improvement there. And so I didn't hear you touch upon that, but can you give me just a flavor in terms of like the work that is underway to really support our families in investing in the school and in our young people?
Sure. So we have our community school coordinator who started this year with us, who has reintroduced the parent teacher organization, which has successfully increased every time they've met the amount of parents that have come in, which is phenomenal because that hasn't happened before. So it's not only active, people are asking to join and be a part of it. We are also implementing ways to increase our family engagement, and I like to call it cauliflower pizza. When you make cauliflower pizza for your kids, you're tricking them into eating vegetables. And so we do the same thing with our families. Like our back to school night was a karaoke night. And we had an amazing attendance at that back to school night, better than I've seen in the past few years that I've been there. We like to infuse other pieces. We have a student staff basketball game, and in the beginning of it, we'll start and we'll make announcements, and we'll provide families with opportunities to sign up for different activities. So again, we know they're going to attend the game, so we bring them in. Our goal is to get our families in the building as much as possible. We have a group of dedicated volunteer parents that come in every morning, and they're also helping to recruit additional parents, many of them being fathers, which is exciting. And we just did donuts with dads and muffins with moms most recently, and the attendance again was phenomenal. And it wasn't just because they were getting donuts and muffins. They actually got a lot of resources. And we're also providing them, so all the connections that we also have with our partners. Our partnerships are not just partnerships for the scholars, they're also partnerships for our families as well. So we have, Healthcare Access Maryland. We have different job agencies that are coming in to provide resources. We have mental health agencies as well. So we're, trying to expand based on the needs our parents are saying. We are bringing that to them as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I add something? May I?
Sure, please.
Hello, I'm Ms. Richardson, Principal Richardson, and I'm new to the school, as Mr. Green said. So I'm delighted to be here and to be able to speak on behalf of New Song Academy. I just wanted to add, because Mr. Green forgot to mention our PTO. This is really big. We're doing things that they did not do before, and we are being very strategic about our meetings. Before we have our PTO meetings, we meet with a parent alumni who proclaimed herself to be the PTO president, which she has taken on that role and really do a lot for families and meet and greet them every single morning. But we also make sure that we help her to grow into that role to be the PTO president. So we meet with her before we actually have our PTO meetings, and it has been very successful thus far. And since then, we've seen every time we have a meeting, we've seen the attendance grow. So we're looking to grow even more by, doing like a family bingo night that we're planning. So we have all these activities that we're planning, and we're being more strategic about the way we're trying to engage families.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anyone else? All right, well, thank you, Nusong. Oh, yes.
I just wanted to just add, I might just be repeating what my colleagues have said, but just for folks to remember that, New Song is not only an academy, but it's also a community learning center. And so our programming is moving, we have our academics and the things that are happening in the schoolhouse, but we're also stretching ourselves to be more inclusive of the community and providing programming, not only for parents of students in the building, but also adults who are a part of the community that makes up Sandtown. So just understanding that we're not just this academy, but we are an anchor institution in West Baltimore and in the Sandtown community. So thanks for having us.
Thank you again.
Thank
We see
you.
some of our committee members on tonight.
Yeah, thank you all.
Are we ready for the next school? Sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. When I saw you come on, I thought you were just going to transition. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So next we're going to bring up City Neighbors High School. They're a high school. They are effective in each of the three key areas: student achievement, school climate, financial management, and governance. They've had 2 prior consecutive full renewals, and so they're recommended for an 8-year renewal. And so with that, I'm going to bring the City Neighbors High School team up.
Hey, London, you're muted. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry. Okay. Good evening, Baltimore City School Board of Commissioners. My name is London Carter, and I'm an 11th grader at City Neighbors High School and a new member of the City Neighbors Board. With me are Cheyenne Zart, my principal, Shakir Paler, our 9th grade coordinator, and Mike Chalupa, our executive director. Next slide, please. City Neighbors is a special place. At City Neighbors, we are known, loved, and inspired. My favorite things about City Neighbors High School are the community, internships, and lip sync battles. We are a project-based school, and my favorite project was What Does It Mean to Be a Teenager in 2023, a project from English last year. We are also arts integrated, and I have used many forms of art to learn. We have a pod model, and I'm in Ms. Jackson's pod, the best part. We have met together every day since I came in 9th grade, and this year I got to participate in our 20-week internship program for all 11th graders. My internship is at University of Maryland Medical Center, In addition, at City Neighbors High School, I also participate in National Honor Society, Arts Club, and the Wild Trip to Utah. After high school, I plan to attend college and obtain an undergraduate degree in nursing. And when I graduate in a year and a half, I will be proud to say I'm an alumni of City Neighbors High School.
Good evening. This is my third renewal at City Neighbors High School. And as principal, I want to humbly say that while we are always striving to do better, we are coming here today stronger than ever. Next slide. In 2023, we had a 90% four-year graduation rate, our highest since 2017. We anticipate an even higher rate this year. While higher than I would like, our dropout rate is 4%. Next slide. We increased our English MCAP scores nearly 27 percentage points from 2022 and scored more than 5 points better than our cohort. Next slide. We are proud of our progress on college and career readiness. We moved from the 30th percentile in our first renewal year to 64.5 percentile this year. This number doesn't factor in that 90% of our 11th grade students participate in our internship program. Next slide. People want to come to City Neighbors. We average over 500 applications every year. We have a high family satisfaction, a 90% teacher retention, and a high cohort retention.
Next slide. The team at City Neighbors High School put a ton of love and work into every day at our school. In the last few years, we've been intentional in improving our work. Coming back from COVID, we had to be intentional around recreating our traditionally strong school culture, and that work has finally taken root and it feels strong again. Last year, we launched in-depth work around ninth grade on track to graduation work, and we've built data structures, created a team around that effort. We have strengthened our college and career readiness efforts, expanded AP and dual enrollment courses, and our graduation tracking and support system for even lower grades. And we're excited to launch a new partnership with iMentor next year. And we have leaned hard into our equity work, constructing a 3-year equity plan, of which we're in the final year, and completing a 3-year equity PD journey with Dr. Kay Whitehead. We have revised and expanded our data structures, adopting IXL testing, and expanded our data collection and review to over 10 other data areas.
Next slide. We have a lot to celebrate, but there is still room for growth. We feel confident about our math team, but our students are not making enough progress to catch up to proficiency. We need to jumpstart and accelerate their progress starting day one. We'll continue to grow our college and career readiness work by expanding advanced learning opportunities, providing better SAT prep, and building our partnership with our mentor. Our equity work is never done. We will construct our next 3-year plan as a community and continue to center this work as professional development. We have more work to do around students with disabilities. While we have a good reputation for this work, we still need to improve our classroom practices to best meet the needs of over 30% of the students who qualify for an IEP. And as the former music teacher, I know we want to keep expanding the arts, but we do some great work already. So I invite each and every one of you to come and celebrate with us at our 3-school collaboration on March the 6th at 6 p.m.
Next slide. With our hard work, success, and more hard work to do, we ask the City School Board of Commissioners to approve the renewal of our school for the next 8 years.
Thank you so much. That is
Thank you so much. And thank you, Ms. Carter. We appreciate your board service and representing your colleagues.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Commissioners, any questions? All right.
I do.
Well,
I do have a
yes.
question relating to, looking through and trying to understand some of the data. If someone could speak to some of the issues that have occurred around suspensions in the past and what steps are being taken related to those, to correcting those issues, I'd appreciate understanding a little bit more there.
Sure. So I will say one of the biggest concerns, of course, is post-COVID adjusting and redirecting students around issues with discipline. We have this year and last year focused a lot on restorative practices and building, that's a common thing across various schools, but building those relationships with students to solve that within the dynamics of schools. I think it's really important to just also do a lot of work around social emotional learning and social emotional support. Our theme or words of like known, loved, and inspired does really feel true through the school. And we do a lot of work around that. I think a biggest thing is making sure students have a voice and that their voice is heard. And that we also don't give up on students, but there are some real barriers to student conduct that exist both inside and outside of the school, and we don't shy away from them, and we work to ensure that like all of our young people, when they come, they over 4 years learn how to interact with each other. And that happens both with restorative practices, but in some cases, especially when they involve violence, those events have to be a variety of consequences are explored. And so we do also, when the students return from an incident that might be like a fight or a physical aggression, there is always a restorative circle with all of the community members to ensure that whatever harm was done on both sides is restored and that there is safety within the space. I hope that answered your question. If you have another question, please ask.
My question is much more for Mr. Chalupa. So when we see a school that has an 8-year recommendation that really demonstrates the strength of the school and their achievements and a strong commitment to a number of things, how in this next 8-year renewal do you see this particular campus being able to contribute some of the good things that they've achieved to the learning of all of our city schools?
Thank you, Commissioner Sally. I think we all have a lot of learning to do from each other. So I sort of want to take a humble stance in that to begin with. I will say that I think always for us at City Neighbors, the promise of charter schools was about the education we can provide for the students who come in our building every day and the communities around us, but also like what can we share and be in community with others. So we already have lots of things that we do to share with the rest of the world. We have a Progressive Education Summit on January 25th, 2025, where we'll have about 400 Baltimore educators there. And we have partnered with other schools already to do some work. So we really do try and create the space where we can convene with other folks and learn together in the space. But we're certainly open to other ideas about how to share practices. So far, we've just kind of been doing it on our own, hoping folks will come to the table and learn from each other, but open to it for sure.
I encourage you guys to think too, and I really appreciate just the opportunity hearing from you in terms of your learning and sharing learning. So thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, City Neighbors High School. That was our last school of the evening. I would like to thank everybody for coming out and all of the schools who prepared presentations for us. We would like to thank the Office of New Initiatives and their teams for their work and commitment to our schools in Baltimore City. I'm now going to read information that we all need moving forward. So more information about the process and how to get involved can be found on our annual review page on City Schools website. So our website is baltimorecityschools.org. To get to the renewal information, you would go to /page, /annual review, or go to the City Schools homepage and type in annual review in the search bar, and you should be able to find the information. From now through January the 10th, members of the public and school communities can submit written testimony to the board. For the schools who are recommended for non-renewal or closure, there will be 2 opportunities for members of the public to provide testimony on these recommendations at the December 12th and January 9th board hearings. Instructions on how to sign up to testify are on our website, along with instructions on how to provide written testimony to the board. The board expects to vote on these recommendations in a public meeting on January the 14th, 2025. Thank you all for attending this evening and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.